Good afternoon everyone, I'm Rick the pilot teacher, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the different types of visas that you can get to train and work as a helicopter pilot or a fixed wing pilot in the US. So when I wanted to learn to fly, I knew that I wanted to go to the US to learn and train over there because it's far cheaper and the weather was so much better from the UK. Now, back then, there was two visas. I think it was the J1 visa and I think it was the M1 visa. Things have changed a little bit since then. They've changed their visas up a little bit. There's still two types of visas, and depending on what you want to do with your training, will dictate which kind of visa you choose. So now there are two visas. There is the M1 visa and there is the F1 visa. The M1 visa is the most common visa that is offered by flight training schools in the US. It is valid for 12 months from the day that you enter into the US, and if you want an additional 12 months, you can apply to the Department of Homeland Security and kind of argue your case. It's quite rare, but it can be extended for up to 12 months. The M1 visa is just a training visa. All you can do is go there and train at the flight school. That is it. You cannot work. It's generally used for specialized training. So if you want to go over and you want to learn, go and do like mounting courses, or you want to get your private pilot certificate and your commercial and then head back home and convert them to your local certificates. So the M1 is basically just 12 months and it's purely for flight training. The second visa that you can get is the F1 visa, and this one allows you to train and then work as a flying instructor within basically your field of work. You can't go and train and then go and work a job, say doing IT. You can only work in the field in which you've trained. The F1 visa is a lot more stringent, and because of that there is only a handful of flight schools within the US that can offer the F1 visa, and it's basically tied to an approved Part 141 flight training program that is accredited by the FAA, and they are then basically inspected by the Department of Homeland Security to be able to offer this visa, because the school is kind of sponsoring you, so they are responsible for you whilst you're in the US. So there's only a select few schools that offer the F1 visa. The F1 visa is valid for 18 months from the day that you step foot on US soil. Now, so that allows you to go through, do your training, and you can then be offered a position. Once you're offered a position, you can then apply for a 3-month extension, which is the curricular practical training. So let's say, for instance, you've done all your commercial, you've done your CFI, you're technically can now be employed. So what you can do is get a job offer. Let's say your 18 months is starting to come to an end. You can apply for a 3-month extension to do, say, like your instrument instructor rating, or your multi-engine instructor rating, or your float plane instructor rating. There's lots of additions, and you can basically apply for these 3-month extensions up to a maximum of 11.5 months. So 90 days prior to the expiry of the CPT is what you can apply for a thing called the OPT. The OPT is optional practical training, and basically what it is you finish all your training, you've got all your your CFI, your CFII, that kind of stuff. You can apply for the OPT, and what the OPT does is it then gives you an additional 12 months which you can then work as a flight instructor. So this is how people go and get their instruction, get their ratings, and then boom, you get 12 months. You can then work as a flight instructor to crank out the hours and hopefully try and get up to around about 1,000-hour mark that makes you a lot more employable in the industry. So once your visa has expired, basically it's done. You've got 60 days in which to leave the US. So many of my friends were trying to find every single way to try and stay in the US. They were trying to get married. They were trying to do the green card lottery. Some of them were lucky, some of them were still there, but most of us, we knew we were going to be leaving. So yeah, when that day expires, you've got 60 days to get out, basically. Give me your money, get out. So basically, to apply for your visa, you can do it from your home country, wherever you are in the world right now. And it's not a quick process. It's going to take quite a bit of time, quite a few months for all the process to get to go through and all the paperwork done. So there's basically several steps that you need to do. Step one is you need to decide which visa you want. Do you want the M1 visa that's purely for training, and then you're going to come back home and convert your license back to your local license? Or are you going to want the F1 visa where you can train and then work as a flying instructor to try and get your hours up? So step two is to liaise with the flight school that you have chosen to go and do your training with. I mean, that is a whole different process in itself. But once you've picked the flight school, you need to liaise with them. And if they are a F1 accredited flight school, then they're going to have somebody that's going to be dealing with international students coming into the school. So you basically need to get in touch with the flight school, get kind of the enrollment process underway, and speak to the admissions manager person, whoever's looking after all the international students coming to that school, because they'll be able to give you exactly all the steps and information that you need for their particular school. Step three, basically you're going to have to fill out what's called a training request and send that to the TSA. The TSA are basically going to give you your approval for entering into the US to flight train. You know, since the horrendous incidents on September the 11th, the TSA really cracked down on international students flight training. So they want to do a good background check on the people that they are letting come into their country. So basically, you can guarantee you're going to have to do your fingerprints, you're going to have to do a background check, all those kind of things, and that is under a training request. So don't worry about trying to remember all these things. You can find the link in the description below. Links over to a blog post that I've written over on pilotteacher.com that goes through step by step of all this. And there's actually like a PDF printout that you can download to just basically go through and check off the boxes. So step four is you're going to receive a form called the I-20. And basically what you have to do is you have to go through that, review it, make sure all your information is correct, your name is spelled correctly, your address, like everything has got to be spot on, because if there's something that's not right, you'll get halfway through the application process and it will get sent back. Once you've done that, you'll then have to go and pay the I-901 CVIS fee. The CVIS is basically the Student Exchange Visitor Information System. And you have to go in and put in all your details and you have to pay the fee. The fee, $350 US. Well, at the time of filming this anyway. But you can see on the website when you go to fill it all in what the latest fee is. So step six, once you've gone through all that, all your paperwork's good, you will then be sent an appointment to go and visit your nearest United States embassy in your country. And this is to go for your interview. I still remember mine. I had to go down to London in the UK for mine. And you have to take everything with you. Take all your paperwork, take all the identification that they are requiring from you. They will send you a list of what they require, and basically they're going to do an interview with you to find out why do you want to go to the US, who are you, what are your intentions while you're in the US, what are your intentions after your flight training, that kind of stuff. So it's generally like a one-on-one personal interview with basically a representative for the United States. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a case of you just got to go through and do it. But if you get down there and you are missing one piece of information, one piece of paperwork, see ya, out you go, start it again. So you can be, 3-4 months before you can get a interview booked again. So make sure you've got everything. The way that I helped keep everything together was I got a binder with like these like poly wallets on them. So basically everything that I got from TSA, from the flight school, from the embassy, from Homeland Security, it all went in that binder, and it was with me whenever I went anywhere to do with getting my flight training ready. I had my binder, it was all in there. I was never going to lose anything, and it worked really, really well. And I suggest you guys do the same. It'll really help you stay organized and keep all your documents in one place. So when you've been to the US Embassy, they'll basically take your passport off you and they send it off, and they will then give you your visa printed in your passport, and they will send it back to you via courier. So whilst you're waiting for that, this is the time to get everything organized, ready for you to leave your country. So you're going to have stuff at home that you've got to get sorted out. You've got to sort out all your bank details, your tax information. You just got to let people know that you're leaving the country, that kind of stuff, so you don't get dinged on tax and stupid things like that. So just basically get all your home affairs in order, ready to leave for the US. The other thing you need to do is to obviously stay in touch with your flight school and let them know which stage of the process you're at, because as soon as your visa comes through in your passport, you can basically next day enter the US legally. So you basically want to try and get as many things done so that as soon as that passport arrives, it's like, let's go, let's get the ball rolling. So your passport finally arrives, you open it up and you got your shiny visa in there. Now's the time to get that flight booked, get your flying position confirmed with the school, get on that plane, get over to the US and just enjoy your flight training. My 2 years that I spent in the US was 2 of the best years of my life, and I wish I could go back and repeat them. It was such an awesome time, but getting all those steps completed to get to that point where you can legally step foot on the US soil and start flight training is going to take a little bit of organization. So again, don't worry, you can find a link in the description below that takes you over to pilotteacher.com, and I've got that checklist of everything that you can follow. And then when you get in touch with the school, you can see their checklist too. They may have a few things, but what I've listed in this video is kind of the general way of what things happen and how that they happen and what to expect. So if you found this helpful, awesome. If you're going over to the US, it's a fantastic way to learn how to fly. And yeah, check out that link in the description. You've got the checklist PDF download. I've also given you access to my flight school comparison tool. So what it allows you to do is to go in and put in all the pricing and details about 5 or 6 different flight schools, so you can compare them side by side. You know, how much is the aircraft rental, how much is the fuel, how much is the accommodation, how much is this, how much is that. There's so many things that allows you to compare all the flight school. Super handy tool. I used it when I was looking to try and decide which flight school in the US to go to. At the time there was only 2 that offered helicopter flight training with the then J1 visa. One was in Florida, one was in Oregon, and I went to the one in Oregon. But I used it to compare the 2 to decide which one I wanted to go to. Super handy. It's a free tool for you guys, so go use it. Hope you found this video helpful. It's just a simple process. It's just a case of going through the steps. Nothing major, nothing crazy. It's just a process, and it takes a while, but providing you give them everything that they ask for, you'll be gold. So hope you liked it. If you did, thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.